"And then what?" asked the winter lamb. "Then the mother ewes brought them to safety, away from the man with the little dog. And they found a Cloud, the woolliest sheep in the flock, was at a loss. "A haystack," Cordelia suggested. Cordelia was a very idealistic sheep indeed. "Yes, a haystack," said Cloud. And the mother ewes ate while the lambs rolled in the hay and fell silent. The sheep bleated enthusiastically. The repeated telling of the story of the silence of the lambs had resulted in a few changes, and it had gained a little something each time. Rebecca the shepherdess had read the book to them in the autumn, when the leaves were already yellow, but the sun was still round and ripe and robust. The sheep could no longer say why the book had given them the creeps back then, during those first cold, silvery autumn nights. Only Mopple the whale, the fat memory sheep, still remembered that hardly any lambs and precious little hay had featured in the book that Rebecca had read to them on the sun-warm steps of the shepherd's caravan. The wind drove wisps of snow between their legs. The bare branches at the bottom of the meadow fence shivered, and the story was over. "Was it a big haystack?" asked Heather, who was still young and didn't like it when stories ended. "Very big," said Cloud confidently. As big as... She looked around for something big. Heather? No, Heather wasn't particularly big for a sheep. Mopple the whale was bigger. And fatter. Bigger than all of the sheep was the shepherd's caravan, standing in the middle of their meadow. Even bigger than that was the hay barn. And biggest of all was the old oak growing on the edge of the forest, that had shed countless crunchy, bitter brown leaves in the autumn. It had been a divil of a job grazing around all of those leaves. Flanking their meadow was the orchard to the right, and the goat's meadow to the left. Behind the two meadows was the forest, strange and susurrant, and far too close. In front of them, the yard, with stables and dwellings, smoking chimneys, and humans making a racket. And right next to them, close and grey and solid as a pumpkin, the château. The slight incline up to the forest gave the sheep an excellent view of it. "As big as the château," said Cloud triumphantly. The sheep marvelled at the size of the château. It had a pointy tower and lots of windows, and blocked the sun far too early each evening. A haystack would have made a welcome change. Something made a bang. The sheep gave a start. Then they craned their necks curiously. Something had been chucked out of the window of the shepherd's caravan. Again. The flock launched into action. Quite a few things had been chucked out of the shepherd's caravan just recently, and sometimes they turned out to be interesting. A pan of only slightly burnt porridge, for instance. A houseplant. A newspaper. The houseplant had made them feel bloated. Mopple was the only one who had enjoyed the taste of the newspaper. Today wasn't a bad day. In front of them in the snow lay a woolly jumper. Rebecca's woolly jumper. The woolly jumper.